So I'd say we had quite a weekend of fights. Unlike the weekend before, I think they, for the most part, lived up to the hype. I mean, we had Shane's fight. Obviously, we could start with that. Obviously, if you guys didn't watch our interview with amateur fighter Shane Myles, go watch it. But Shane,
subscription.
of course. But Shane did end up getting the win, cash money. By I would assume
That's what definitely lived up to the expectations there.
Yeah, no, it was a great fight. I mean, we'll definitely spend more time breaking it down with him, but just like a quick overview if people like didn't get to see it or didn't know what happened. Shane pretty much was just dominating this guy on the ground for the most part. Yep. There was some good moments on the feet, standing and trading. The guy was he was a good kickboxer, you could tell, just like Shane said, but it seemed like his striking combinations were really just too predictable. And after the first minute and a half, I'd say Shane settled in really nicely and really just pushed the pace, walked him down like he said he would, and used his wrestling and his grappling to really
just the grappling, the wrestling, to set up the striking. And got it done. He was dominant on the ground, though. I will say
that armbar attempt in round 2 was pretty sweet.
That was sick.
That was definitely sweet. But we definitely can't wait to have him on to talk about it. We'll definitely try and get that done as soon as possible for you guys. But on to the other fights of the card. But we just wanted to definitely start by saying congratulations to Shane, and thanks again for coming on here.
Can't wait to see what's next.
Of course.
And hear what's next. We got him on next.
But on to the UFC, man. It was a sleeper card. I mean, obviously, we didn't expect, I shouldn't say we didn't expect much, because I always say that those sleeper cards are, always end up being, bangers sometimes. But that didn't make any sense. But you get what I'm saying. But this one was honestly pretty good. There were a lot of finishes, and the main event, though, I wanted to start with that. Jessica Andrade, man. That standing arm triangle she hit on Amanda Lemos was just straight brutal. Daniel Cormier's she's got to try and get her to the ground. She's tapping her. I don't even know. She, dropped immediately when they stopped the fight. That was crazy. Jessica Andrade is just so strong at 115, and honestly, just in general, she is so underrated. People don't talk about her enough just because
that's I was about to say the same thing.
Well, because she got dominated by Valentina, and then she did beat Rose to win her title, but then she lost in the rematch at UFC 251. But yeah, she's definitely very overlooked, and we were pretty much saying we were kind of overlooking this main event a little bit. So I think that Jessica Andrade definitely reminded people who she is and why she deserves to be in title conversations at all times. But I did want to ask you though, what did you think of her call out of the winner of Zhang Weili versus Joanna?
I like it. Yeah. I think she can. I don't think she beats either of them, honestly.
Nah.
But I think it's a good fight with probably more with Zhang Weili than Joanna, I think.
Yeah, but I know in their first fight, Zhang beat her really quickly, but that was I always say that when there's a quick finish in the first fight, you usually don't see that again. And I think if they fought again, it'd be a better fight. And
last week, Bilal and Vicente Luque.
Oh yeah, exactly, just like that. But then you got Joanna. That's a tough matchup for anybody on the feet. Besides Rose and Zhang, no one's really even made her look human in there. It's nuts. She just beats the crap out of everybody that she fights on the feet. She keeps them at a distance. She's big for the weight class too. But I think that's a tough fight for Andrade, but I can't sleep on her power though. I mean, she definitely has the potential to knock either of them out at any second. It's just she really is just one of the most underrated fighters on the roster.
Yeah,
definitely a female fighter.
She's exciting, dude.
I love watching her every time she's out there.
And that's why kind of confuses me as to why she's so underrated and slept on in a sense. But
I try and look inward too, and I can't even think of a reason for myself. Maybe it's just because when I see her fight, I don't know if it has title implications all the time.
Yeah,
and when it's a main event,
I think that would make sense. Which is nice though. I like that she's making that and then she's making that kind of call out.
I mean, she knows. You could tell she's very self-aware. I mean, that's why probably she went down to strawweight because, Rose is the champ right now, and she beat Rose in the first fight, and the second one was a split
Yep.
decision loss. So I think her path to the title at 115 is probably better than it is at 125, considering what happened to her in the Valentina fight. But I think if she can beat either of those two that she called out, I think that puts her right back in there. But I mean, the strawweight title coming up, they got is Rose versus Carlos Barza, right? Is that the next card, or is that the Singapore one? I think it's the next pay-per-view, right? Like I want to say it's the. I'm gonna look that up. Let's see.
I think the next pay-per-view is.
No, I'm not saying the main event.
No, Oliveira and Gaethje is in.
Yeah, but I think they're co-main. They are. Wow, it's coming up, man. That's 2 weeks away. Not even 2 weeks. Okay, I'll take that. So we're going to be seeing some clarity there pretty soon. Honestly, we can get into that a tiny bit before we get into the next fight. Just Rose Namajunas fighting Carlos Barza again. Like, Rose has definitely matured a lot since that first fight. The finale of Tough, I don't even know what season. There's been so many. But she got dominated on the ground in that one by Carlo, which is, there's no sleeping on her on the ground. But I think that they're both completely different fighters. I think Carla has a new ferociousness to her game. She's starting to open up more with ground and pound when she gets on the ground. She really she's starting to do more with that top position. And I think she's starting to realize and she's coming into her own as a fighter. And I think going into this title fight with Rose, that should be really, really interesting. Because Rose is just an all-around threat. I mean, on the feet, she's fantastic.
Which is so
on the ground.
It's just. I don't that gym seriously with Kamaru Usman and now Rose I just
Gaethje too.
Just running over, taking almost every division, all the titles, and because I am really excited for this fight. I do hear I'm not trying to discredit Carlos Barza by any means and all that, but and I know people. Because the general basis of Carlos Barza is oh, she's so boring, and probably that's why it's taken this long to get this fight finally booked. Mm-hmm. But she's dangerous, and that is a thing. If she can get Rose there to the ground and get the the controller she wants, full amount, whatever. It's
it's a tough night for Rose if she gets on top. I don't know if
you
Rose
can't
can
get to exactly. I'm not. Basically, what I'm saying is, any really predicament Rose might be in, I'm not gonna get too Usually, I'll get oh my god, it's this is it, it's over, and I'll get it's in the moment of the fight, watching the fight kind of thing. But with this one, I'm gonna be more lagged and be okay, until there actually is a finish. Oh wow,
I feel they're both such technical fighters that it might not be as clean of a finish by either of them if there is one at all. I think Rose would be smart to circle and probably try and point fight or walk her down heavily so she really can't use the wrestling.
I think that's how you
can't stand right in front of her and not move.
That's how you beat Carlos Barza, honestly.
It's tough though. I mean, not a lot of people have done it, including Rose, which is kind of crazy.
Yep.
This is this is why strawweight is my favorite division, man. There's so much parity there at the top. Who knows what's gonna happen?
It's so crazy because kind of how I was making that parallel with Kamaru Usman, as stacked as. Would you say that strawweight is as or what would you say it's welterweight or strawweight is a deeper division? Because we talk about how welterweight is pretty top heavy. That's basically where I was gonna go with it. Welterweight, like you just said, it's top heavy and it's deep in the sense that it has a lot of good fighters. But I think strawweight is deeper in the sense that there's more fighters in that top echelon that can actually win the title. I don't see more than 2 people capable of beating. 3. I'll put Burns in there. I don't see more than 3 people really capable of beating Usman, if he's at his best. Leon will probably be next for that one, and he's definitely better than him on the feet, but I don't think Usman is dumb. I shouldn't say dumb enough because he's a good striker, but I think that he'd be smart enough to use his wrestling in that fight. Yeah.
If you beat him that way the first time, easy. Why not take the easy road? If I feel like we've talked about this on this podcast so many times already for no reason, just that it keeps coming up. Now, Usman wants to fight Canelo, so I would think if he wants to take as little damage as possible against Leon, he should probably take him down. So, and then he can get his ass whooped by Canelo in the boxing. So, at some point, honestly, we should just make a compilation video of just all the times that I've made fun of this.
I can't wait for this fight, honestly, to happen. Fight with how much it comes up on the show.
No, I can wait for it. I know what's gonna happen. Only a moron.
I want to finally see it happen. You know?
I don't. I'd rather Usman.
If it's gonna happen,
I like
Kamaru. It's gonna happen. Let's just do it.
Despite what I'm saying, I actually like Kamaru Usman. I'm a fan. I was rooting for Colby because I'm a big Colby guy, but I like Usman. He's once in a generation. I don't want to see him get his ass whooped by Canelo.
So in that sense, you can be happy that at the end of the day, he'll be paid.
That's true. If that's the case and he thinks that, I don't know. I think he truly believes he can win, and I don't know where he's coming from with that. But, you knock out Jorge Masvidal and all of a sudden, he's feeling that dangerous.
So, just real quick, and then we can, get back on track and move on.
Yeah.
You think this is gonna be? You think this is gonna be closer than Conor and Floyd?
No. No.
This is gonna be.
If Canelo decides to, he might take the first round just to see what Usman is gonna do, because this guy's a wrestler coming in a box. Conor at least boxed. That was how he got into it. And then you got Usman though. He's coming from a wrestling background. He learned to become a striker. Yeah. You're going against the pound for pound best fighter on the planet in Canelo Alvarez. He's fighting May 7th too against Bivol. He's fighting for the light heavyweight title now in boxing. This dude just keeps going up weight classes and winning. Usman, staying up. If you want to take a quick payday and get dropped in round 4, it's all good, and I understand it. But that's a tough fight.
Hey man. Whatever.
I would love.
Not to say that either one of us is gonna pay to see that, but
I don't know
if it's gonna happen.
It would be exciting. I'd be happy for him. That's for sure. But I'd be a little scared the moment that the fight starts. But anyway, back to the fight. Speaking of people that I was scared for, I remember when I saw this fight, Claudio Puelas versus Clay Guido. I was like, eesh. Not that Clay Guido isn't an awesome experienced fighter. And the guys we mentioned, Jim Miller and Don Cerrone, people like that, they've seen everything. And Clay Guida though, he's a little error prone sometimes in his wrestling.
A little bit, a little wild.
Yeah, and that's what makes him good, but it's also sometimes its downfall. I just mentioned Jim Miller, when they fought in Jersey in 2019. That was a quick guillotine that he fell in, and apparently they were working this camp because they figured Claudio would be throwing him up, but knee bar finish, man, and he tapped immediately. You could tell that one hurt.
Wow.
It was quick, too. On the ground, Clay Guida was never comfortable. He took him down pretty early, but then it was triangle, arm bar. He had his arm locked, in the guard for 2 minutes. And then...
I feel like Clay Guida's best bet, in almost every fight, is just, 3-5 round war decision. Maybe he wins by points.
Yeah, I don't know why he wanted to.
Even though he's had plenty of those, probably more than he needs at this point. But especially
from the beginning too, him and Diego Sanchez back in the day, one of the best fights in UFC history. Again, we definitely mentioned some older great fights from time to time, for the newer MMA fans. So for all the newer MMA fans out there, if you guys have not seen Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida, go watch that fight. Tough, finale. Jeez.
I have to. He's in there to try and put on a show every time. That's what you gotta love about Clay Guida. He's been here a long time. All gas,
no brakes.
Exactly. But man, dude,
Claudio
finishes
is
like that
on the ground. That's really what it comes down to. Clay Guida, while he is it's not easy to finish that.
It's a really, really odd fight to take.
Yeah, not even that. It's just I think it was more of an odd strategy. I was if anything, you got.
I guess they kind of both play hand in hand.
It's tough. I don't know. He didn't have like I said, when I saw it, I was a little nervous. I was like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
a tough fight for Clay, and obviously it ended up being a pretty bad ending.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think that Claudio's for real, but do you think that he's for real enough yet to go against the top 15 guy, or do you think that he should be in that top 20, 25 level that we talk about so often in those stacked weight classes?
Yeah, I think he's ready for a top 15. Now, who that might be, I'm not too, I would have to need more time to look into and really come down to, but I think he's good. I definitely think he's good enough.
I think it'd be cool to see him against like a really good striker, like a guy and with good takedown defense, like a guy that he's gonna have to stand up and not rely on his guard and his jiu-jitsu game to like really win. And like he's a good fighter like overall. Like he's had like good moments on the feet.
He is.
Against Clay,
Yeah, he
Clay
is.
He was doing all right. Like in the moments.
He's not like great at one particular thing, but
well, I mean. The knee bars maybe specifically. Maybe I don't know about like
knee bars are pretty sick, but
3 in the UFC already. I'm pretty sure it's like a record. This is a historic card.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, can we not to say like he has to knee bar a top 15 opponent, but can he finish the top 15 opponent?
We'll see. I mean, Clay's definitely like he's an experienced vet and he's like on like an upper level. I'd say I wouldn't like. I'll stay at that. He's like at that still at that upper level because he's fighting like good guys honestly to this day.
Yeah.
And I think that his experience, I figured it might do more for him in this fight. Like I didn't think that the finish would come that quick. So I think I agree with you. I think he could definitely hold his own against the top 15 guys. It's just a matter of can he do the same thing to what he's doing to all these other guys and. Maybe. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. So I guess, that's what I'm saying. I want to see, like, is he actually great at one particular thing, that being the jiu-jitsu, obviously. So, yeah.
He was not, like, interested in a call-out, though. He was just like, get me on the UFC Espanol broadcast team. He's like, I'm well-spoken, I'm good-looking. He's like, put me on there. I'm like, we've only watched the Espanol cast one time. UFC
if we ever need,
yeah,
exactly. If we ever need that pay-per-view Spanish broadcast,
let's hope Claudio's on there next time we decide to go to it.
We're gonna be listening out for
Brandon Moreno's on. I'm pretty sure on that one too. Shout out to him.
Oh, sick.
But yeah, no, they got a good thing going there. I mean,
yeah, that's cool.
UFC's definitely got some nice commentary teams for all spectators around the globe, I would think. But back to the card. So I think we've pretty much talked about that fight, like everything that there is to talk about. But a little more clarity that came out of the outcome of Charles Jourdain versus Lando Venata. Because Charles Jourdain, I guess we can start with the call out and we'll go to the fight. He very passionately called out Edson Barboza. It's like, one of us is dying in there. He wants a war. Like, I love it. I'm here for it.
I think it's a great fight. I think it's a great fight to call. I feel like a lot of these young and up-and-coming lightweights, like Edson Barboza is like a really easy.
Well, no, this is still a featherweight. This is a featherweight.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah,
Yeah, Lando. I know Lando used to fight at lightweight, but now he went down. I don't know.
All right, okay.
Yeah, poor Lando though. Because he was doing all right before that.
These young and up-and-coming featherweights too. I feel just Edson Barboza in general. I feel is a good fight to call out. Like,
I just want to see him against a striker. That's my reason why I like it. Like he's fought some guys who have tried to grapple him, like Bryce Mitchell, and you've talked about like Habib and all those guys at lightweight who've done it.
Actually, Edson Barboza, I'll give you that war. I'll give you that. It has to have been over a decade now. He's been in UFC.
Probably. He was
at least
that
close
Terry
to
Edom knockout was like UFC like 140 something. So
yeah,
like,
dude, another guy Edson Barboza that's been around. So
that's wild, dude. He looks like fairly young and he's like shredded. That's crazy.
He can still go with
awesome.
with these young. I love it. I think I'm here for it. I'm really here for it.
Yeah, let's just hope Charles keeps it on the feet. Edson keeps
and
it on the feet.
You say it with with passion.
No, yeah,
like, one of us is dying him though. Okay.
He was like getting into it. He's like I'm fighting like I'm trying to win.
Like you don't see that unless like either like an obvious fight that should be made or like. Yeah. You don't see that much with
Jourdain's just like that, and that's why I was excited going into this fight, like with Lando Venata, because Lando's like that too. Obviously, his UFC debut, Lando Venata, was against Tony Ferguson. I think it was a short notice fight too. Dropped him in the first couple minutes. Like, he's forever like just like a mainstay, like no matter what happens to him, because that was an all-time moment. Tony Ferguson was ranked, I think, like number 3 or 4, and Lando came in and dropped him within the first minute, and like everybody's like, oh. But obviously Tony ended up winning that fight, but still, it was a great moment. But Lando has always been around to brawl, and once I saw him get booked against Charles Jourdain, I knew this one was going to be a war, and for a tiny bit it was, but then Jourdain, like, the power guillotine, like, that was just pure strength that he got that one with. That was so sweet. Like, that was the main reason I really wanted to talk about it. It was just such a brutal finish. Like, I loved watching that. I love when, like, there's just, like, one of those, like, brute strength type finishes, almost sometimes more than the technical ones. How about you?
I think it definitely sends more of, like, a statement.
Yeah, like, it's, like, there's, like, an anger to it.
Exactly.
Like, it's, like...
Especially
passion.
when you have, like, your Charles Jourdain, you have someone in particular in your mind who you want to fight.
Yeah, I would imagine that he thought that out beforehand. He was very certain about it when he was talking about it, like, later on. So, like, I think that I think that'd be a great fight for Jourdain.
Yeah.
Might as well. I mean, he's a young guy. It'd be interesting to see him go against Barboza. But with the UFC, I mean, there were, like, a lot of, like, great finishes and stuff, but there was only really one more that I wanted to talk about a lot, and that was Tyson Pedro coming back. So I became, like, more of, like, a hardcore fan, like, I'd say late, like, 2018, early 2019, and that's, like, basically when Tyson Pedro last fought. So, like, I knew of him, but I hadn't really watched him before this. I knew he was a good prospect, and he had a lot of injuries coming in. It was just, like, a huge comeback for him. And he delivered against Ike Villanueva. Leg kicks, and it just ended the fight for Ike. Like, he was done after the last one, and
it's always cool to see that after a long layoff too, because it lets you know, like, this is a different fighter now that you're seeing, probably more than likely.
Yeah, he looked great in this fight. Like, there was a couple moments, nut shots and stuff, maybe settling in there, trying to get the range back. But yeah, no, Ike was not doing good. Leg hurts, crotch hurts. Like, he must have been having a bad night afterwards.
Everything hurts.
Yeah, but Tyson Pedro, he definitely announced his return to the 205-pound division. I think that he's honestly he's right back where he was before, like 4 years ago at this point. I think that you could definitely put him up against, like, a top 20-ish guy, and then see how he does there, really to test him. And then from there, I mean, sky's the limit. This guy is a really, really good fighter. So I'm happy that he's back. And just overall, I mean, that was not, like, the biggest UFC card in terms of name value, but there's some pretty good fights on there. But
well, I mean, if you want to use one Tyson to transition to another Tyson,
we could, yeah. Tyson Fury in boxing,
I think it's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, no, I mean, that fight was just a one-sided dominate. Well, I was watching the BT Sportcast and they were like, "Oh, it's not domination." I was like, "I mean, it looks like it to me." Okay, Tyson was out boxing him, and, like, there were some moments where White managed to get the champ a little angry. But round 6, I think it was, Tyson just hit him with a right uppercut just from, oh my God, like, it was clean, pushed him down, and, like, he was done. Like, he got back up, couldn't even take the 2 steps, like, right to walk to the ref, and it was over. And yeah.
Hey man, like,
he's the best.
I don't even know. I don't even really think it's a question, like, if we start, like, putting those 4 letters.
Yeah,
by Tyson Fury. Now, like,
yeah, it's valid. It's definitely valid.
Because, like, if he retired right now,
which he very well might. I think he really. I don't think this is a joke. I think it is for real.
I personally, I want to see him go out on top.
I like it. Like, I mean, as much as I'd love to see Ngannou get paid to fight him, I just don't have any interest in it. It's the same. All right, now. I'll say this for Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman will do a lot better against Canelo than Francis Ngannou will do against Tyson Fury.
Oh man,
Tyson Fury might play with him a
I
little
have
bit.
no objections whatsoever.
Yeah, no, like Tyson Fury is no stop. Like MMA gloves, I don't even care. It's like
it's just not worth it for either of them. Like
no,
sure, like
no,
yeah, the money.
Francis it is.
And
Francis he'll
that's
take a
literally
loss
that's
for
like
a huge paycheck. He saw Tyson Fury get paid $30 million for this fight. He's like, yes, sign.
That's just them. I don't like. It's just it's so like wild, like just how like that's how it is with the UFC. Like you can literally be the champion of an entire division, the probably the best division in UFC, or heavyweight. I mean, probably heavyweight is heavyweight, killers throughout. That's the point.
I don't know where you're going with that. I was like waiting. I was like, I think I go.
I called heavyweight the best division, and then I had to think about it for a second.
No, I just speak like that sometimes too. You thought about it and you're like, man, those 3-round fights on the prelims.
I don't mean that. I don't. But
I think it definitely is like I'll say this, like in boxing, when we have like top heavyweights like we do now, like with Fury, Joshua, Usyk, White when he was up there fighting Fury, Wilder, like it makes it a lot more interesting. Like for a while, like definitely throughout our childhoods and stuff, like Vladimir Klitschko was just ruling the heavyweight division, and there was nobody who was beating him, and he didn't have like a very fan friendly style. So it was like, you know, heavyweight boxing wasn't really the thing. It was more like the welterweights and stuff like Floyd, Manny Pacquiao, Cotto, all those guys. But when heavyweight is on, man, like heavyweight boxing, there's nothing like it. And you were saying that Tyson could be in the GOAT conversation. I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think you could put him up there with Ali, Tyson, Frazier. I always put Lennox Lewis in there. I don't hear his name in there like enough, like in that really
especially when
GOAT
you take into
conversation.
account like Tyson Fury's entire like comeback story.
Yeah, no, it is incredible. Literally
for
could
him
into a movie.
See, seriously, man. Like, if there already is a Tyson Fury documentary out there, then I definitely need to know what it is and watch it. But not then. That definitely needs to be made.
Yeah, I'd imagine that there might be. Who knows? I mean, that's literally like a movie like straight out of Hollywood. Like you wouldn't believe that if you didn't know him.
Seriously.
Like you see like the video of him in like 2017, like after Wilder had said in just a random interview that Tyson was done, and he's just literally walking because he's too big to run. He's like, you know, that really inspired me, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kick your ass. And he comes back like a couple years later, pretty much. In the first fight, I'd say he won that fight. It was a draw on paper, but he won that fight. Like the only rounds that Wilder won were the 2 that he dropped him in, maybe 2 more, and even that wouldn't make it a draw. So Tyson outboxed him in that one, and the second and third fights, that was like it's pretty much the same thing. Like Tyson was just like destroying him in those fights. The second one he walked him down. The third fight was a classic. That was one of the best heavyweight title fights ever. And
for Tyson Fury to still just look as slick and smooth and clean as he did is incredible.
He is truly
true testament to this man's greatness.
Yeah,
so.
like it would definitely. I'll say this: like it's definitely sad to see him go, but I mean he's given us a lot of great memories already.
Yeah, man. I want him to go on top, and right now he's on top. So
yeah, exactly.
I think it's.
I personally have no interest in.
Especially when you consider who he beat too. Like this dude. Dillian White, you really wanted this fight.
He's a great fighter. Like, you know, people don't give him the credit he deserves because he's not, like, in that, you know, the big 3 of Joshua, Wilder, and Fury. But there's, like, a few guys in that division that are just, like, on the, I wouldn't even say it's on the cusp because I was going to say this, like, kind of like the only fight that I really wanted to see from Fury was him versus Usyk. And so, like, Usyk, I think, doesn't get enough credit either as being one of the best heavyweights on the planet. And for me personally, that's the fight that got away, and nothing else. I mean, looking back on like all the history now, I really do think that Fury would just easily beat Joshua. But Usyk is an interesting fight, and you know, I don't think we'll ever get to see it. But
you're always no matter with anybody, you're always gonna have like that dream fight, you know.
Yeah.
But you just said it yourself with Anthony Joshua, like Tyson Fury, like by now has definitely given us like
I think he's proven
a pretty great sample of, you know, I think he would be able to. I think he'd be able to handle Anthony Joshua probably with ease, but
yeah. Well,
you know,
if that is the end, great career, 32-0-1. I mean, the one being the draw against Wilder. So, man, like
That's
one of the best boxers of all time. I think I have full confidence actually saying that. So
hands
it's up
down.
to you guys to
Hands
decide
down.
where he might be. Maybe we'll post like a
Thank
poll
you,
at some
Tyson
point.
Fury.
Thank you. We should post a poll
True
at some point
inspiration.
about that on like the Twitter and the Instagram. Just like maybe a few names and who would you consider the GOAT of boxing?
Yeah.
Or heavyweight boxing, we should say. But yeah, I think that Tyson is definitely up there. So thank you to him for a
Seriously.
fantastic career and a whole lot of memories. But,
Role model.
Yeah, honestly, role model, inspiration to me. I'd say everybody. Like, you know, yeah. We could take the time to honestly talk about this a little more, just because like I think I would say that he's an icon of our time. Like, you know, you think about guys like Mike Tyson back in the 80s and Muhammad Ali before him, like they were truly like once in like a generation type characters. Like,
This
in their
generation,
time.
like
Yeah,
easily it's up for greatest of all time is easily up for debate of who the greatest is. This generation though, man,
he beat everybody like you wanted him to beat. Like
it's
he beat,
it's not
we were
particularly
talking about
close.
pretty much post his like his depression and like his whole problems
Yep.
that he had. But before that, he beat Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko hadn't been beaten in years. Like literally, they tried to prop up so many people against him, and nobody even touched him. And Tyson just beat him in his own game. He outboxed him, and he's just one of the best fighters of all time. Like I'm fully confident in saying that, and like I'm definitely curious to see what other people think about that.
Yep.
But I definitely have him in my top few in the grand scheme of like heavyweights in boxing. But I guess on to the last like bit of fights. Actually, well, so I'm catching you off guard with this one, but I did actually want to talk about this for like 1 second. PFL actually started recently, and the main event of that, I know you probably didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but Jeremy Stevens versus Clay Collard. Clay Collard won by decision. That was a war. Like that great fight. Like, go home and
I hear
watch
the name
that.
Jeremy Stevens, like I immediately think war.
Yeah, no, that fight was literally phenomenal. Like a great fight. Literally, like
all
promotions.
You sold me, sir.
And like for anybody out there who doesn't know much about the PFL, they're also on ESPN, but ESPN Plus. So if you have that, you can watch them along with the UFC. So definitely watch that main event. That was awesome. The co-main, I think, was it co-main? Yeah, the co-main had a pretty nice knockout too. Shout out to whoever won that one. I forget the guy's name, sadly. But yeah, that first event though for them was definitely a banger. But just wanted to shout them out. But on to what I was gonna say. Bellator this weekend was actually pretty good too. Bellator 278 I think was on Friday, and then 279 was yesterday, which is Saturday. Obviously you guys will be hearing this on Monday, but pretty much I guess we'll start with the first one. Juliana Velasquez versus Liz Carmouche for the women's flyweight title. That was a pretty good fight. I mean, pretty much what happened in that one, Juliana was at first she was just
I heard there was some controversy over the.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could probably.
I'm pretty
get
bad.
right
Yeah,
to
Mike Beltran stoppage.
It was competitive. Like Juliana did drop Liz like a couple times, but Liz's wrestling was like phenomenal. Like I have to say that. Like she took her down like pretty almost at will, I'd say. So there is that. But in round 4. It was late in the round, and she did get taken down, and she was in a bad position. Liz Carmouche was on top in the crucifix, and she was throwing like little elbows that I know like a strike in MMA like doesn't matter how little, like it should be important, but like literally it was like glancing blows, and I don't think they were doing as much damage as Mike Beltran probably thought that they were doing. So I get why he did stop it, but I didn't like the stoppage, especially considering that I think there were only 12 seconds left in the round. So that too.
I was seeing that Twitter was pretty angry about that. I was seeing like,
which
I mean is understood. Like any like
Velasquez was not happy.
Any like even close to egregious ref stoppage is just like gonna piss off a fan, especially if the fight is like is going like well. Like,
and it's in a title fight.
Yep.
Well, it's weird. Like, I don't know if you could. It's a tough fight because she had like her moments, but like I said, at the same time though, she was getting dominated on the ground, and obviously that was what ended up leading to the end of the fight for her. But I just like, I don't know. Like I didn't think there was enough damage to really be like that was being done. And then you have, like I said, like less than 15 seconds left in the round in a championship fight. And I know that doesn't matter to the refs. Like, I've heard that a lot of times as their reasoning. Like, it shouldn't matter. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Wait, how much time is on the clock? Or
championship fight.
Okay,
well, both, honestly. Both.
Okay.
Because they say if the fighter... It doesn't matter if there's 1 second on the clock. If that guy's out, you gotta stop the fight.
Yeah.
But it's just like... I don't think that there was enough damage being done. And I can't say that from Beltran's angle that he probably, like, maybe he saw something that we didn't, but I don't know. Like, I thought that was it was an early stoppage, you know. I think Beltran's one of the best refs in the business, but that, I don't know, that one was a bit suspect to me.
Yeah.
They all have their moments, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That part.
But Scott Coker did say he'd be down to have a rematch for that one, so I'd be down to see it.
Cool.
Nice little rivalry brewing between those two. Respectful one, obviously, but good one, competitive one, and that's what Bellator needs right now. And on to the next Bellator card, the main event of that, Chris Cyborg, and I'm not going to butcher the other girl's name, honestly, but she is, I want to first start, though, by giving her respect. I wish I could say her name so I could give her the proper respect. I think we've pretty much tackled how to pronounce the Russian ones, but I think, I'm gonna give it one
to at
attempt.
least say, first or last name.
I'm gonna try it. We're gonna give it a shot. I wasn't expecting to, so this might be horrible. Oh god. Actually, that's not that bad. It looked weirder on paper. I don't know what. Arlene Blenko? I don't remember what the commentary team was saying. That's what I always try and remember. But we'll say Arlene. How about that? That's definitely That's definitely how you say that. But Arlene, she fought like definitely very like valiantly against Chris Cyborg. I mean, a lot of girls wilt when they fight Chris Cyborg. They start off a little bit strong, if they even manage to do that, and then Chris Cyborg beats them down and usually wins by TKO, if not a dominant, brutal decision. And that's what this one was. But I think that Arlene was definitely one of the only opponents that Cyborg has really fought as of late that's really brought the fight to her. Despite all that, she was getting hit by everything with the kitchen sink, and she was still coming. She was still bringing the fight. And obviously Cyborg clearly had a lot of respect for her after the fight. But, I mean, the main conversation that I really want to have after I watch this fight, after seeing, like, how well Chris Cyborg fought, like, all around in MMA, I think even though Amanda Nunes beat her so fast, I really think that you could argue that Chris Cyborg might be the best female fighter on the planet. Like, I think it's like she fought Amanda Nunes with an odd game plan. I don't know why you're going into a fight against a power puncher swinging wild like that. I don't know if she came in emotionally. But I watched her wrestling in this fight. Like, she suplexed Arlene, and like she's used it in other fights too. Her grappling is very good. And we've seen Amanda have actual problems with that at this point. And, those clearly have not gone away now because Juliana Pena kind of exposed it. And you could say that it was because of COVID, maybe, but doesn't take away from the fact that it happened, and that's how you have to judge it. So Amanda Nunes' losses are through grappling, and Chris Cyborg is a very good grappler as well as a good striker. I think if that rematch were to ever happen, which I don't think it will, I think it would be a lot better fight than the first one.
I would hope so, at least.
I don't know. What do you think, though?
They've both just come such a long way since then. You feel like
not even that long ago either.
What? Yeah, exactly. Why would Chris Cyborg fight the same way she did the first time?
Especially considering what was it, like 50. I don't even think it was a minute that she got clipped.
Yeah, I don't think that wouldn't happen again.
No, I think she's smarter than that. I think she's definitely smarter than that now. She knows, like. And it sucks too because that was kind of the end really of her in the UFC. because after that it was Felicia Spencer, and then her and Dana had the whole thing. That's why I don't think we'll ever see that fight again, sadly. But I think that those two are like 1A, 1B, best female fighters on the planet. And I don't know, I mean, do you think that Chris Cyborg could out-grapple Amanda Nunes, or am I going crazy saying that?
Yeah, do I think like she could? Yeah, but
I feel like they have equal strength.
That's fair, yeah.
That's why it's interesting to me. It's just like
it's still like it just feels like so much more even now, if it were to happen again.
Yeah, because like we've seen Nunes become mortal like since then. Obviously against Juliana Pena, who she's definitely fighting again, and Cyborg, like she's looked untouchable. Really, I mean, even in fights like against Arlene, and then in the UFC, Felicia Spencer, I think that like she was I wouldn't say even tested because she dominated the fights, but like she had girls bringing the fight to her, and even despite that, she really was just beating the absolute crap out of them. So I don't know. I think that's a fight that's another one like we mentioned with Tyson Fury in a way, like the fights that kind of get away. that rematch is definitely a fight that I wish we could see. That I highly doubt we will.
But unfortunate.
Yeah, it does suck. But I will say this, because I don't think there's really too much else to talk about. Next week, though, a fight that, barring anything terrible by the MMA gods, we will see Rob Font versus Marlon Cheeto Vera in a 5-round main event. Whew, I can't wait, man. That's going to be a fun one to break down on Friday, that's for sure. But I guess I'll leave that one with you. You have any tease for that?
That's gonna be a very fun fight. That's all I gotta say. I mean, I think it's more. You'll see a lot mainly on the feet.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't think there'll be too much on the ground.
Gonna be much going on the ground. In which case, yeah, I don't see how this fight isn't just a fight.
I'm just smiling. I can't wait. Like, I literally can't wait. That's going to be a war, man. Bantamweight,
if not a war, then, like, some, like, crazy quick finish or whatever.
And it's a big fight. I think it's 5 versus 8. So, Cheeto could break into that top 5 with a win here. You know, Rob Font.
Great fight for Cheeto. Yeah, exactly. Rob Font, like, I think Rob Font needs this one.
This is an interesting fight for a lot of reasons, and honestly,
the same way this thrust Marlon Vera right into serious like title, contention is the same way it's gonna chop Rob Font, like,
because bantamweight's so stacked. That's the thing. It's easy to get lost in there.
It's really hard to make up ground in bantamweight, and right now Marlon Vera is doing it on a really like rampant pace right now. And
off the knockout of Frankie Edgar, like that was a
win over Rob Font in any fashion. A win over Rob Font, period, is like you're stamping your mark in this division. So
yeah, I think that fight is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for it. The card is pretty good too, I'd say. So definitely be ready for that one on Friday. And like we said before in the beginning of the video, we're going to try and get Shane in for an interview as soon as possible to discuss the win. And yeah, I mean, do you have any parting words for the people watching, Tiz?
No. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Not at all. Guys, thanks for watching. Yeah. Now, like I said, of course, the sportsbook is back this Friday. Obviously, we're gonna hopefully get Shane back as well, and yeah, stay tuned for that new episode of the sportsbook, and of course this crazy UFC main event. And card, honestly. I haven't seen the whole card yet, so...
There's some pretty good fights on there. Better, like, name value, I'd say, than this one. But it'll be a good one. So stay tuned for the videos. Leave a like on this one. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on those notifications, and we'll see you next time.
Interview. One more little plug for the interview. If you haven't seen it already... Great interview, so if you haven't seen that, of course, link in the description. I agree with Tiz. It was a very good interview, and I wouldn't say we're biased. Yeah, especially, and the result, the fight isn't set in stone. He got the job done. He got the W. Yeah, it was very like he foreshadowed a lot in that interview. That was a great one. I had a lot. That was a good time. Perfect word to use. But we'll definitely try and get him back in as soon as we possibly can. But until next time, guys, see ya.